unused to the climate. I think that if man ever found a place to live easy and happy, that Eden is on Puget Sound. Eden is on Puget Sound. That Eden is on Puget Sound. A place to live easy and happy. That Eden is on Puget Sound.
Hello and welcome to the Seattle Files. My name is Chris Allen. I'm your host. Every week I get together with a different local comedian, and together we discuss the strange, unusual, interesting, and oftentimes lesser-known aspects of our local history. Joining me today on the program is Jacob Burgess. How's it going, Jacob?
It's going fantastically.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here.
That's my absolute pleasure.
Jacob's main focus is he is a voice actor. Past credits include Baldur's Gate, Siege of Dragonspear, Infinifactory, Guns of Icarus Online, and you can hear him in the upcoming Star Mazer, which is recorded 100% right here in Seattle.
It's made in Seattle.
It's made in Seattle.
I'm not sure where everything else is recorded.
Okay.
But yes,
it's made in Seattle.
Yes,
it's from Seattle. Yes,
it's a Seattle company, Imigos Films, Imigos Games. Yep.
Cool. On Queen Anne?
Yeah,
right?
they're right here, local in town. Queen Anne. Yep.
Awesome. Cool. And Masquerada is the other upcoming thing you can hear him in. What was your character's in Baldur's Gate name again?
Glint Gardner Sunsun. He is a gnome priest.
He's complicated.
He's very complicated. Watch
yeah.
where you step. I'm about to drop a lot of nerd on the ground. But yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. He's awesome and romanceable. So you can romance me.
Hey.
Yeah,
all right.
That's right.
Awesome. How long have you lived in the Seattle area?
I've lived in the Seattle area a total of 4 years. So I actually lived here 7 years ago for 3 years. I moved back about 8 months ago from Vancouver, BC.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. You came back here for video game recording stuff?
Video game recording. This is where my wife found work as well.
Okay.
And she's Canadian and totally real. And yeah, so she found work, and one of the benefits to my job is that I've done my best to be able to do what I do from anywhere. So like the opportunities that are here in Seattle, I've tried to take advantage of. No matter where I am, just try to network and work. Yeah.
Cool. How much do you know about local history?
A fair amount. I really enjoy Seattle history quite a bit. Yeah.
Awesome.
What do you got for me?
I think I have found something that you don't know about. I know that you know a fair amount about local history, right. But you have no idea what we're going to be talking about today, correct?
Mm-mm.
Excellent.
That is, I said a negative. I meant an affirmative. I don't know what we're going to be talking about today.
Cool.
Yes.
So the positive that you negatively know, it's not okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely positive that I said a negative that was supposed to be a positive. Yes. Anyway.
Cool.
So please. Yes.
So let's get started.
Yes.
Awesome. Marion Zioncheck was born December 5th.
Sorry.
What?
No. Just that's a great name.
It is a great name. Yeah. Marion Zioncheck was born December 5th, 1901, in Kety, Poland. At age 3, his family immigrated to Chicago, then Seattle, where they settled.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually lived in Poland for 6 months.
Oh, did you?
Yes, yes. It was, how can I best describe it? Because I was in a little town called Kety, that was at the south of Poland. And it was a winter wonderland of misery and pain.
Was it desolate and...
Yes, desolate and sad, and where I was living, forgot that communism had ended 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
That was great.
What took you to Poland?
Work. I was teaching English.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
excellent.
Teaching English, wanted to live somewhere in Europe for a little while.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I did that in Argentina for a while.
Nice.
Yeah,
very
taught English
cool.
down there.
Yeah, Argentina was probably way better.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a great time. So.
Oh, good. That's great. Rub it in.
The family grew up poor in the Skid Row district south of Yesler Way, and young Marion did what he could to help them get by. He worked as a dishwasher, a fish seller, and a rat catcher, where he got 10 cents per rat he killed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What was that? The rat tail bounty?
The rat tail bounty, I think it was just if you brought in a rat. So I found a couple of things, contradictory information on that. So if you bring, when I was researching this story, he got 10 cents per rat that he brought in.
Okay.
I've read other stories where during the plague, if you brought in a rat that showed signs of the bubonic plague, you got $5. because they were really trying to crack down on plague. Awesome. So I don't know if those are different times, or if it's just different people, or if it's just different information, or if somebody adjusted for inflation and then it didn't get translated down the way.
So just find one plague rat and a bunch of other regular rats, and rub them together.
Oh, that's a great idea! Oh my god, take one rat with the plague and put it in a box with 20 other rats.
20 other rats.
Oh my
and
god.
Then boom.
That's a 5,000% increase in your revenue per rat.
That's right. That's the Jewish genetics coming out.
That is some shrewd business finagling there.
Let me tell you what. I don't have this nose for nothing.
Young Marion was tough and smart and had large ambitions to grow beyond his station in life. He attended public school and did well. His grades were good enough to enroll in the University of Washington, where he was set on becoming a lawyer. However, his family's poverty forced him to drop out of school and work to support the family.
So this is their kid?
This is their kid,
okay.
Yeah. So he's the son of the family. He's got a sister, but he's working to support the family. He goes to college, but he has to drop out to go out and support the family.
Okay.
But 4 years later, he was able to return to the University of Washington and resume his studies. Okay. Now he's older than the other kids.
Yep.
He hated the fraternity system and viewed its members as rich elitists.
That's good. They generally are.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you on that.
Frat bros are pretty much the same throughout history. And this is, I'm a member of a fraternity. Oh, God.
Which one?
Alpha Psi Omega.
Okay.
It's the National Theater Honors Fraternity.
I was in the National Honors Fraternity.
Oh, nice.
Alpha Lambda Delta?
Oh, yeah. But this one was specifically for theater.
Okay.
So I would,
So you're double nerd. Awesome.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the other frats just loved us. And we were actually, all gender inclusive, but all called brothers. So it didn't really matter. Like, were you in theater? Did you keep your grades up? Great. Are you super nerdy? Awesome. We have a place for you.
I think mine was a scam, because I went once, I gave them like $50, they gave me a pin, and that was it. That was the end. They didn't have a house, they didn't have nothing. It was
you got a sweet pin out of it.
It was, it was, it's like those who's who of American high school students, it's just
Awesome.
Yeah.
You ever been to a theater fraternity party?
No, I've been to a lot of theater parties before.
Yeah, it's a theater fraternity party. I'm hoping somebody does so they can tell me about them, because I don't remember any of them.
Awesome.
Oh, God.
So he organized the Anti-Greek Coalition at the University of Washington. He chaired the Student Election Committee and modernized campus politics by introducing voting machines. In 1928, he became student body president. And there was a question of whether the university should use its money to build a new athletic pavilion or a student union building. Okay. So he fought hard for the student union building and was harassed by student athletes who beat him up, shaved his head, and threw him into Lake Washington.
Did you say athletes?
Athletes.
Okay, I was like, athletes. Yes, we're very much into marketing, and go fuck yourself.
Yes,
Sorry.
No. Yes. The student athletes.
Athletes.
They beat him up, shaved his head, threw him into Lake Washington, because he was fighting for a student union.
Good. That's awesome.
So the athletic pavilion prevailed. They built the athletic pavilion, but a student union was built eventually. A student union building was eventually built 21 years later.
Okay.
He graduated with a degree in law and was admitted to the bar the following year.
Nice. Did he have anything to do with the building being built? Or
not really, no.
It
happened. Yeah. It was eventually, other people took up the cause.
Well, we beat the crap out of this one guy. I guess we'll build this thing sometime.
Eventually, yeah. In 1931, Mayor Frank Edwards fired James D. Ross, the superintendent of Seattle City Light. Ross was popular around Seattle, and the story goes that the firing occurred over a late-night dare where Ross used his popularity to challenge Mayor Edwards' authority. So this might not seem like a big deal, but it is. The mayor fired the head of a public utility, a major public utility.
Yep.
Seattle City Light was city-run, while Puget Power was privately run. And the two organizations competed for contracts in Seattle. So you have a city and a private organization. Firing the head of a public utility was seen as a way of strengthening private interests, and the citizenry of Seattle took issue with a politician using his position to further a private company. So that's what they were seeing him as doing.
Okay. I mean, nothing like that's ever happened.
Right. Yeah, nobody's ever abused their authority for personal gain and to push forward their friend's business interests.
Yeah, the whole,
So this would be the first time this ever happened.
Okay. All right. So, the whole private sector versus public sector thing, this is a huge running theme, it seems, in Seattle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Jesus. All right. I mean, even today, who would... that's crazy.
Right, no.
Amazon. What?
Oh, God. Don't get me started on Amazon.
It's a whole 5 podcasts.
Oh, God, yeah, seriously. Now, once the Seattle is laying in ruins in the waste and it's just a big crater sitting on the Puget Sound with an Amazon flag in the middle, then... I've got a lot of opinions on Amazon.
One dude with Amazon, like, cardboard box armor.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll have the quickest delivered hobos in the country. A recall petition was circulated for the removal of Mayor Frank Edwards, and leading the charge was Marion Zioncheck, who had been running a private practice out of a small hole-in-the-wall office. So he's very much about justice. He's very much about not the big guy using power to support himself. So he's in the anti-Greek coalition. He's trying to get the student union instead of he did a lot of that with campus politics.
Yep.
So he sees this as kind of an extension of what he's been trying to fight for, because he grew up dirt poor.
Yep. As many nerds who's gotten beaten up by jacks tend to do.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, strong sense of justice.
Yes.
And that's why superhero movies make so much fun.
Oh, God, that's true. Zioncheck ran a successful campaign for the removal of Frank Edwards, who was replaced by Robert Harlan, who reinstated Ross as the head of City Light.
Cool.
So the guy gets his job back, the mayor's out, new mayor's in.
Awesome.
And the story was national news. The New York Times reported, quote, Mr. Edwards is out, Mr. Ross is restored utility control, the Power Trust has a flea in its ear, and the Moscow papers will have a good story.
Has a flea in its ear.
It's a weird sentence.
That's a real...
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But the New York Times is really saying, like, this is communism that they're doing there.
Yeah.
This is private utility should do what they want. The mayor should be able to fire the head of utility.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, I can't get over the flea. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sorry, but yes, communism.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Zioncheck decided to dive further into politics and ran for Congress in 1932. He started his campaign speech by saying, quote, I am a radical. I guess I always have been. I hope I always will be. He won the election and became representative from Washington's 1st District.
Very cool.
The kid who grew up dirt poor, killed rats for money, and fought against what he saw as elitism in college was going to Washington, D.C.
This will end well.
Oh, you think so? A hardcore liberal, he fought for his ideals in Congress. When the prospect of using the National Guard to break up strikes came up, he said, quote, people aren't paying taxes so the National Guard can see to it that scabs get in there and break the strikes.
Okay.
He fought against racism and tried to limit large military expenditures. So through and through, he is a liberal, New Deal Democrat. Okay. He was reelected in 1934 and was incredibly popular back in Seattle, at least among those who didn't loathe him. So he's a polarizing figure, but liberal Seattle is into him. They like him.
So Bernie Sanders is this dude's, like, Super Saiyan form?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. He's super liberal. He's very progressive.
Old Jewish man. Yeah. Awesome.
Either way, he was confident in the job he was doing, saying, quote, I am the best congressman our state ever had. Yeah.
Oh, that's I want to spread that on toast because that's my jam.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Then everything started to change in 1936. New Year's Day, 1936, so very beginning of 1936, Zioncheck, drunk as a skunk, stumbled into the lobby of an upscale Washington, D.C. apartment house, commandeered the telephone switchboard, and rung every resident wishing them a Happy New Year.
I love this man so hard.
He was arrested for drunken disorderly conduct.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just... oh, so good. Oh, that's so good.
The Seattle Times reported, quote, the Seattle congressman was arrested early in the morning of New Year's Day. He was accused by the switchboard operator of the Connecticut Avenue apartment of having plugged in all the house telephones when he was unable to get into the apartment of friends there. The representative denied he was drunk. He said he had attempted to operate the switchboard when he was unable to raise his friend at the door. Officer J.T. Enzer of the Metropolitan Police Force testified Zioncheck was pulling and kicking at the apartment door when arrested. This, however, was denied by G.D. Perry, Negro, the switchboard operator, who said the representative was sitting in a chair when the officer came in.
Okay.
And it's very important that they pointed out that he was black.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
1936.
36.
Yeah, this is...
Of course.
So, a few weeks later, he was arrested again, this time for driving 70 miles an hour on a crowded street.
Okay.
And he told the arresting officer, it couldn't have been me, I'd have been doing 80.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this guy so much.
He's a character.
Oh my
for
God.
Sure. Shortly after that, he was arrested again for driving his car onto the White House lawn. So he's just kind of going, he's kind of losing it.
Okay.
He's kind of losing it. Another speeding incident left him with another run in the police. Zioncheck was becoming a frequently seen name in D.C. papers as well as newspapers back home.
Okay.
So he keeps getting arrested, mostly for traffic stuff, being drunk in public.
Oh, God. I want this very, very much. I want this to, like, him having been framed.
So I've got bad news for you.
God.
He was not framed.
Damn it.
This is all him doing all of this. Ruby Louise Nix was a WPA typist. She was from Texarkana and followed Zioncheck's misadventures in the newspapers. Intrigued by this strange figure, she built up her courage and decided to call the congressman.
This is... Oh,
Cold
God.
calls him. Mm-hmm. Zioncheck took the call and, based upon her voice, asked her out on a date. The two went out on their first date, April 27th, 1936, and got married the next day.
Fantastic. Okay, so I need to ask because I don't want to spoil anything, but I am invested in this man at this point in the story. I need to know by the end how tight my butthole has to be. Like, am I just going to get my heart broken and it's going to spill out? Like, what?
Let's find out.
Oh, God.
I don't know how to answer that question because I don't know the tightness or looseness of. I don't know how that's going to.
That's fair.
I don't know which is good and which is bad in that situation. So you just let it do what it's going to do. Okay. Just
right.
let it be. Washington D.C. had a 3-day waiting period for a marriage license, so they crossed the border to Maryland. The press approached him about the wedding, and he refused to answer directly, instead rambling strangely. It should also be noted that during this interview, he was wearing an Indian headdress and holding a longbow.
Oh, God. This man is my spirit animal.
Yeah, he's an odd one.
Oh, God.
From the Seattle Times, quote, informed that the Reverend Paul R. Deals of Annapolis, Maryland, had confirmed that he married the couple, the congressman said, this reminds all of me that there is a commotion in the ocean. This all reminds me that there is a commotion in the ocean, and the ocean is full of commotion. That's his response. Seattle Times continues, after several more unsuccessful tries, newsmen left, their pockets bulging with quotations from Zioncheck on almost every subject except his marriage. Among his pronouncements were a challenge to meet the American table tennis champion for charity's sake, that he can train turtles and make friends with monkeys in the zoo.
Obviously.
Yeah. That he can play piano, sing, and play golf.
I would bet on it.
And that he has few rivals when it comes to making Irish stew.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Demonstrations followed each assertion with Zioncheck wearing the Indian headgear. The bride stood by and giggled. Every time the blue-eyed bride opened her mouth to reply to the queries, the congressman would interrupt with, say, I'm wearing the pants here, look at me.
Okay.
So that's how they're starting their marriage.
Okay, so how I read that is he's trying to protect her from the public eye. Now,
that's a very generous reading of that.
And I understand
that is a very, very generous interpretation.
I'm very open-hearted. God, I want to like this guy so much, and I feel like, oh, God. Oh, I want to like this dude, but I'm going to hate this dude by the end, I have a feeling.
I think you might have a third way of feeling about this guy at the end. So, the license fee for the marriage was $2, and he reportedly borrowed it from the clerk after offering his watch as collateral, which the clerk refused. Oh, man. The clerk said, just take it. Just take the $2.
Just get married.
Just get married, and I'm guessing get married and get the hell out of here. Yeah. The sooner we process, it's worth $2 for me to have you leave.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, the two set off to Puerto Rico on their honeymoon. From Skid Row by Murray Morgan. I've looked at several ways of writing this, and Murray Morgan, Skid Row is my favorite book on local history. He said this far better than I think anybody possibly could. Quote, they started south on their honeymoon trip in Zioncheck's second-hand 12-cylinder convertible. They outran some cops, were caught by others. In Florida, Ruby bought Marion a Kety car and told reporters she'd do all the driving in the family. But in Puerto Rico, Marion borrowed a car, sideswiped a truck, drove through a locked gate, was challenged to a duel, took part in a student riot, threw coconuts out of his hotel window, and finally demanded that the Marines be sent to protect him.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's going nuts in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Okay, go ahead, please.
The couple left Puerto Rico and went to the Virgin Islands. At a restaurant, Zioncheck went to a neighboring table and lapped up the patron's soup, sticking his face in the bowl like an animal. He was assigned a chauffeur who he bit on the neck.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
You look delicious.
He was seen drinking hair tonic and rum, which he called a new cocktail, the Zipper.
Okay.
Because I guess they got a lot of rum down there, so...
Yep.
Gotta do... Yeah.
Oh, you gotta do something with it.
Gotta do something with it.
Just walk into a Barber's and just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
That looks good. I'm gonna slap some rum in that. I'm gonna put that in my word hole.
He's not a man to let conventions stand in the way.
Oh, no.
So,
No.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
The couple returned to the States and went to New York, where Zioncheck was seen waiting in the Rockefeller Center pool. He judged a beauty contest and got into a fist fight with the boyfriend of one of the losers. Then he gave a rumba demonstration.
As you would.
Yeah.
That's what I generally do after fist fights. I don't know about you. Like, that's how I'd handle it.
That's the 1, 2, 3. You judge a beauty contest, get into a fist fight,
exactly.
rumba demonstration. Yeah.
Yep.
After an eventful and bizarre honeymoon, the couple returned to their home in Washington, D.C. They were not particularly welcome, especially by Zioncheck's landlady, who wanted none of his antics and told him he would have to find somewhere else to live. Marion assaulted her and threw her out of the building. She called the police and he was arrested, but soon released on $25 bail.
All right. And that's the part where I start liking the guy.
Yeah. I think $25 even back then is a small amount of bail for assault.
Yeah.
For assault.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this is what, the late 30s, early 40s?
This is 1936.
Okay, yeah.
This is
this is all
in 1936.
Okay.
This is within 4 months.
Okay, great.
This is April, this is maybe early May, but this is his behavior. The first run-in with the law he had was on New Year's Day, 1936.
Okay.
And this is now late April, early May of 1936.
Got it. Really wanted to like this guy.
Yeah.
Gonna take back that whole spirit animal quote.
Yeah. Probably don't want to, have
no,
somebody
definitely not.
who assaults their landlady.
Yeah.
No.
That's not who you want guiding you through the spiritual journey of life.
The next day, Ruby was nowhere to be seen. Paranoid Zioncheck believed that she had been kidnapped by Vice President John Garner. Furious, he had empty beer bottles and mothballs sent to the White House.
Okay. There's going to be a reveal at the end that he had, like, brainworms.
Brainworms?
I hope brainworms.
Well, clearly he has a mental illness.
Yes, indeed.
Clearly he has a mental illness. It really... Based on looking back on this and a lot of stuff that's been written about him in more modern times, bipolar is what it really seems like. It seems like he's having his break, and he's going into a long manic episode with this. But they didn't. Mental health then was terrible.
Well, right.
So they didn't really know how to deal with it.
Yep.
They didn't really know how to identify it.
Same with, having to mention that Negroes and beating women is only $25.
Yeah. All of those things are indicative of a different and, dare I say, shittier time.
Oh, the good old
I'm going to go ahead and say that things are better now.
They're not perfect.
No.
Better, though. I think that's safe.
Yeah. My favorite era in history is the present. Because the past was fucked up, and the present has a lot of work to do, but man, things are better than they used to be. And they're the fights work. Yeah. Ruby came home the next day. She had not been kidnapped by the vice president.
Good to hear.
Zioncheck went to Pittsburgh to see Mayor Bill McNair and try to convince him to run for president. McNair, who had learned of Zioncheck's recent behavior, refused to see the congressman, and Zioncheck spent the night in his waiting room. It was clear to everyone, except maybe Ruby, that something was seriously wrong, and he was committed to Gallinger Municipal Sanitarium in D.C. On July 4th, 1936, he escaped from the sanitarium and headed back to Seattle. Mm-hmm. Upon his return, he booked a speaking engagement at the Civic Auditorium on the topic, Who's Crazy?
That's... Good job, Seattle.
Yeah, I found the old advertisement flyers for that, for Who's Crazy?
Yeah.
With Marion Zioncheck. At the Civic Auditorium.
Hopefully everybody just went like, oh, this guy, let's go and see him.
Yeah, and this is still 1936. This is within about 7 months of his first kind of erratic behavior.
I'm sure this has made national news as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
1936 was an election year for Zioncheck, so he started on his campaign. Some friends convinced him not to run, so he withdrew, only to change his mind again and re-enter the race. So he escaped from a sanitarium in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
He fled across the country, and now he's running for Congress in Seattle.
Okay, nobody, called and they were like, hey.
They kind of said it's your problem now.
Yeah, okay.
He's out of the sanitarium. But I just wonder, if he goes back to Washington, D.C., is he going to have to go back to the sanitarium?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody seems to be saying, wait a second, let's get this guy back into a sanitarium.
Okay.
They're saying, well, he made it out, so he's here.
We give you one.
Yeah, everybody gets one. He was working at his campaign headquarters on the 5th floor of the Arctic Building on 4th Avenue downtown.
Okay.
On August 8th, 1936, he, along with his brother-in-law, William Nadeau, and Ruby, were about to go to a labor event where Zioncheck was scheduled to give a speech.
All right, hold on right there.
Yeah.
So, he escaped from the sanitarium.
Yes.
Went to Seattle.
Yeah.
And his wife followed him.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
That's okay. Good.
You're married, you make sacrifices in marriage.
Exactly. Yes. I'll move across the country for holy hell. So she was the one that cold called him.
She cold called him.
Like, yeah. And then she was like, oh, he's zany and fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully she still thinks so.
Yeah.
Holy
well,
hell.
I don't think she's fully there as well.
No, I would imagine
she must
not.
have some things going on in her mind if she's still with him and sees this behavior as cute and not as horrifying and dangerous.
Oh, honey, you escaped from the sanitarium. How
Yeah.
adorbs. Why don't I move across the country and we'll just have capers?
Yeah. So Zioncheck is going to go to this labor event and give a speech. And William Nadeau, his brother-in-law, and Ruby are down in the car, and the two waited down in the car while Marion went upstairs to get some papers. After 10 minutes, they were getting nervous. His psychiatrist had warned them to keep an eye on him.
Good.
Because, no shit.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the guy that escaped from the mental institution.
Mm-hmm.
Nadeau went upstairs to find the office door locked. He knocked, but Zioncheck didn't answer. Nadeau got a janitor to unlock the door and saw Marion sitting at a desk calmly writing. Nadeau told him they needed to get going or they would be late. Nadeau asked if he had a hat. Zioncheck informed him that it was on a shelf in the other room, so he went to retrieve it, and he came back in the room he came back to the room in enough time to see Zioncheck tearing off his suit coat and sprint to the window. Zioncheck dove headfirst out the 5th-story window and fell to the ground, landing on his head and dying instantly, right in front of Ruby sitting in the waiting car.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. This is down on 4th. This is about a block and a half north of the downtown library.
Yeah.
So the Arctic Building is still there.
Yeah. Yeah, the Arctic Club.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
Yep, I walk by it when I go up to the library to get my comic books,
Yep.
and now I'm going to think about that every time I walk by.
Oh,
to
yeah.
do that. Thanks. That's oh god.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I've been told that walking through downtown with me is exhausting. Because I'm like, hey,
Somebody
check out
died
that.
there.
Somebody died there. Big thing happened there.
Oh,
That's
man.
an Elmer Fisher building.
Yeah.
Yeah, cult leader was killed right there.
Yep.
It's, yeah. Yeah.
I imagine you just can't help yourself.
I can't, no! I want people to know about the things that are there.
I have stuff in
Yeah.
me. Let me show you them.
God, I'm the worst. The paper he was writing in the office desk read, quote, "My only hope in life was to improve the conditions of an unfair economic system that held no promise to those that all the wealth of even a decent chance to survive, let alone live." The Seattle Times reported, quote, "Congressman Marion Anthony Zioncheck's astonishing death plunge last evening from an Arctic building window was laid by medical men and inmates today to mental illness brought on by overwork, and to knowledge that he must again go to a sanitarium to rest. The explanation of Zioncheck's plunge to death bore out the decision of Eastern psychiatrists that the representatives suffered a mental illness. But close associates of Zioncheck linked his ailment, which caused alternating periods of elation and depression, to his zeal in office and a driving determination to acquaint himself fully with everything on which he was called to pass, even the most innocuous private bills brought before the House of Representatives."
Okay.
So
psychiatry went like, this dude cray-cray.
Yeah.
And everybody else was like, no, just very passionate and like really loved his job and things like that.
It's interesting because his friends, the way they describe it, it's textbook bipolar disorder. Where they're saying he has a mental illness, and they're like, no, he doesn't have a mental illness. He just has incredible periods of elation, incredible periods of depression, and when he's elated, he becomes incredibly fixated on what he's doing. Like,
right.
Yeah, that's a mental illness. We know that now. We can see that. better ways of dealing with that.
Damn.
Ruby ran to her husband's body and stayed with him until she was dragged away. It was determined that his mother, who was very ill, should not be told about her son's suicide. Zioncheck was 35 years old.
Jeez.
His congressional seat ended up going to Warren G. Magnuson, who served in the House and Senate for the next 44 years.
Okay.
Ruby got a year's salary, about $10,000 from the House of Representatives, and stated she would use the money to attend the University of Washington, but never did. Zioncheck's mother soon died, never learning of her son's suicide. This led to contention between Ruby and Zioncheck's sister over what should be done with his assets and estate. The following year, Ruby moved to Hollywood, hoping to become a famous actress, and changed her name to Lynn Melton, but never found success in the movies.
The end?
The end.
Yeah, God.
Not...
God damn, dude.
So you said you'd love him or hate him, but maybe
no, I'm
maybe
gonna go.
pity now.
I'm gonna go with hate.
You hate him?
Like final verdict. Screw that guy. Like, yeah, great, zany, awesome, wacky adventures. Holy hell!
Well, he was suffering from a very serious disorder,
illness,
a very rough. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, completely undiagnosed at the time.
Right. Yeah.
In 1936. That's fascinating. See, the most fascinating part of the story to me is that like they escaped and they were like, meh,
right,
meh, yeah, cool. Seattle, you're full of weirdness. You take care of it. Whatever.
And that he was running for Congress
right
after escaping from a sanitarium.
Yeah, and do you know how he was doing, like, in the race? Like, was there anything that you came across?
I don't think he was doing particularly well.
Okay, I mean, because he dropped out and then
he
came
was
back.
still a congressman, but...
Yeah, but he was trying to get another term. Good God in heaven.
Right, yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Have I upset you recently? Did you just not want me to have a good day? Is that why you told me this story?
You know what you did.
No, good God,
it's just
man.
It's an intense story. Yeah, it's he's this up and coming kid who does very well. He's very smart, very driven, and then it seems right there he has his psychotic break, and then he just goes has a 7 months or so.
So at the beginning of the story, I was like, oh, this guy's eccentric and zany, and I really relate to him, and that's great.
Right.
And then we got to the landlord beating part, and I was like, maybe not. And then it was like, oh, undiagnosed mental illness that drove into suicide. Good, awesome.
So it's 8 months between when he had his first break to when he actually jumped out the window.
Oh my goodness.
He that tends to be beating up a woman when you lose all respect for somebody, as it should be.
That's how it goes.
But he was seriously mentally ill.
Yeah.
And it all manifested very quickly and resulted in this horrible suicide.
So what, was there any, lasting, aside from his, suicide or anything like that, did he have any lasting effect on the city or, in Congress or anything like that?
I don't think particularly, no.
Awesome.
He was in Congress for a short time, and while he was there, he was voting on bills and he was pushing things through.
Yeah.
But as I think that he was kind of seen as we need to kind of disown ourselves from this guy after his behavior. So any lasting effect that he might have had or any kind of big thing that he would have had would likely be reassigned and reappropriated and attributed to someone else or some other organization or his people. Because you don't want to have, I don't know, people probably aren't as keen to have a Zioncheck Park. Oh, here's this guy who did good things for a while, but then this horrible legacy that he's left behind.
Right. Man.
Yeah.
Nothing named after him or anything
Not that I know of.
That's
no.
Why would you?
I've never seen any. I mean, Magnuson has the park named after him, but
and Zioncheck. What a waste of a great name.
Really?
Zioncheck Park.
Yeah.
That's.
But
that was a really intense story.
Industrious, coming from killing rats for 10 cents a piece to becoming a U.S. congressman, and then everything just flips.
And it was probably his disorder that caused him to lock into doing this one thing, and focusing on that one thing that drove him, and then everything completely changes. Man, what a freaking art! I can't think of anything funny to say about that. That's just an intense, amazing story.
Yeah.
And I thank you for sharing it with me.
Yeah.
And damn.
And I hope you'll still be able to enjoy getting your comic books from the Seattle Public Library.
I'm not going down fourth.
Just take third. Yeah, take third.
I'm just taking third. I don't care.
Nothing's ever happened on third.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's a lie. Things have happened on Third. You know about things.
I know things have happened on Third.
Yeah. I can walk down Third.
Well, before we get into that, thank you for listening to the Seattle Files. Thank you again, Jacob, for being here.
It's my absolute pleasure.
Excellent.
Man.
We'll be back next Tuesday with a new topic and a new episode and a new guest. If you have a topic suggestion that you would like to hear an episode about, shoot me an email at theseattlefiles@gmail.com. Like and rate in iTunes. Be sure to subscribe in iTunes as well. Like us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter at the Seattle Files. I am also very excited to announce that we will be doing a live recording of the Seattle Files at Bumbershoot this year. Bumbershoot Labor Day weekend 2016 with guests John Keyster from Almost Live in the 206, geology writer David B. Williams, author of the book Too High and Too Steep, and Kate Yeager, a local funny person around town who has been on the show before. So definitely get your tickets and come check that out. Thank you for listening. Be back next Tuesday with a new topic and a new episode.
Bye, everybody.
Episode.
Bye, everybody.
Episode.
Bye, everybody.
Episode.
Bye, everybody.
Episode.